Laura Jane Grace coming in from Against Me. She's also got a new book out called Tranny, Confessions of Punk Rock's Most Infamous Anarchist Sellout. Yeah, I know. Welcome.
Do you get shit for saying tranny? Because there's so many activists that get angry if you use the word, regardless of the intention.
Oh, I mean, I hate the word. I don't like the word at all.
Oh, you don't?
No.
What would you call your book that?
I mean, a lot of my book is about self-hate and internalized transphobia.
That's real.
So, I mean, in that way, it's a fitting title.
I'm Jason, by the way.
Nice to meet you, Jason.
I'm not supposed to be here. This is not my show.
Cool.
But
He was
you were going to
invited,
be on
though.
my show, but something happened.
Oh, yeah.
I think I had to. I had to have a test on my heart. That's what it was.
Oh, right on.
Yeah,
I remember
I'm
this.
okay. I'm alive. I'm super fit and shit. But I had to do it to make sure because I'm super paranoid. I'm sure you can understand. I've got issues just as well as you.
Right on.
Yeah.
It's not a competition. You know that.
No. I mean, if you
Like, I
want
want you to know, I'm fucked up too. Don't be coming.
I'm just trying to set the you feel we're even. Are you single?
I am, yes.
Right. I'm super into you.
Right on.
Yeah, so you know.
Okay.
I like your style. I like your vibe.
I like your head tattoo.
I like your neck tattoo.
Thank you.
We should make out. I mean, not right now because it'd be awkward, but maybe later.
Yeah.
All right.
Off camera. We don't want to be YouTube sensations.
Right.
You wouldn't be.
Get pumped on your own shit, Jimmy.
How did I mean, this must be the question that everybody asks, but what kind of reception did you get from your fans? Because I mean, they had Against Me was a really established band.
With what? With coming out?
Yeah, before
Yeah.
you transitioned.
That's
So-
a big jump. Because Halford came out as gay, but that's a different jump than.
Right on.
Yeah.
I mean, people were really supportive, and people really surprised me. Totally surprised me. I actually I felt like if I wouldn't have been up front though and come out and just told people that it would have been different. That if I had started to exhibit if I had started wearing eyeliner or something like that, that people would have been like, oh, guy liner or something like that. So I felt like I kind of had to come out and just say it.
So didn't you try at one point and then go I can't do it and then just restart?
Well, I had a suicidal nervous breakdown about a year and a half after coming out, and kind of bottomed out for a little while. But,
was that because you thought it was a mistake? Like, oh, I don't know
it
if
was
this
just
is
the pressure.
Right.
Really, it was just the pressure, and I had an adverse reaction to the hormones that I was on. So I quit hormones cold turkey for a couple months, and when you quit hormones cold turkey, that really after being on them for a year, it really affects you.
Well, you were taking pills, right?
Yeah, pills, and then switched to injections, and injections are a lot more even keeled.
Because you become a woman, which means you get all emotional like a woman.
Men are emotional too.
Yeah, but they don't. Because I've had people on my podcast and my radio show. I had a transgender girl to guy, and when he got the shots, he got a beard, and he said he had to go through puberty, and he became
Me too. Yeah.
right. So he said that he went through all these things that, well, we all did when we were 11 or 12
Yeah.
or 15, whatever it comes. And so that means I assume that it's the reverse. I know a little bit about transgender. I was just at a club on Tuesday, super into them, super into girls that have. And I understand your pain because you were born a man. I do. Don't fucking look. You can laugh at me all you want. You got a book about it, not me.
I just like that Jason is really selling himself.
What as a
Thank you
potential?
for understanding my pain.
I do.
He does. He's
I
not
want
buffing.
to understand more of your pain, if you know what I mean.
Read the book.
I don't read. I've got 2 books and I never
There's
read
an
any of them.
audiobook.
I just want to look at the pictures and I'm not seeing any of you naked and it's bumming me out. That's all. I'm just flicking through here and I'm like, there's a lot of words here. It looks like you drank a lot and did some drugs though.
I did. Yes.
That doesn't help.
So you started doing drugs when you were 13 years old, right?
Yeah, pretty young age. I kind of was dead set on it,
About doing it was something you.
I was I'm going to get into drugs. I'm going to start smoking cigarettes. These are terrible, but I'm going to do it. And
Yeah.
I'm going to find drugs.
What made you do that when you're that young?
I wanted the experience, I guess that had a lot to do with it. And then experience and experimenting with the way that drugs affected dysphoria. For me, smoking weed really calms me and really took away the panic. Doing coke took away the feelings of dysphoria, just numbed me. I didn't care about anything else. Same with drinking. And it was South Florida, so drugs were rampant. It was easier to find cocaine and acid than it was to get someone to buy you alcohol.
You got married twice, right?
Yes.
So to women. So was it hard to like sleep with women, or were you not into it, or did you just do it because like, well, this is what
No,
I'm supposed to do?
there's a difference between gender identity and sexual identity, and I mean, like, I really like sex. Sex is great, you know.
Oh, so are you attracted to women now or men?
I am. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Not dudes.
You know,
I don't have a shot.
That's he's not
Well, you're
asking.
coming on strong. It's really early. I've had 2 sips of coffee.
Yeah.
Well, drink some more coffee because here I come.
Good for you, Jason.
Pound that shit.
Did you? I guess I don't even understand. Like, because when I was 13, were you always just an explorative person, like that just wanted to experience everything? I'm asking because when I was 13, I hadn't tried a hamburger yet, and you're doing fucking cigarettes and blow and.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, I did.
Sam's a late bloomer, though. Sam's a late bloomer.
What's so dangerous about a fucking hamburger?
I just didn't like different things. I liked what I liked. I know what I like
At 13.
and that's what I do. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't need to look
you never
around.
did drugs?
Never.
Oh, you missed out. It's pretty good.
He's a little OCD, Sam. He's got a weird thing with tastes and textures. He's a weird dude.
Just like this is what I like.
You're not
this
a
is what
good.
I know.
You're not a good case study for that because you've done a lot of weird things that most people haven't done.
I think I'm the opposite side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
What weird
but
stuff
you're on
have
the
you done?
spectrum.
Nothing weird. I don't do weird stuff. I like my things.
Why are you such a vag? Get out there. Stick your finger in
I'm not.
something.
I like.
I didn't mean like pussy or anything. I meant like get your toe wet, whatever it's.
What is dysphoria?
What is dysphoria?
Yeah.
It's a feeling of disconnect, feeling of misalignment, you know? Feeling like what's in my head doesn't match up. You know, like you have your self-image that you can think about, you know, like, oh, this must be the way I look. And every time I see a mirror, I'm like, it's like a feeling of disconnect.
And how do they know? Because there's all these people that say, well, it's only a mental thing. How do you know that it's not just a mental thing that needs to be fixed instead of saying this is really who I am?
Well, gender is in your head. I mean, like a cliche example would be, okay, if you're a soldier and you go over to Iraq and you get your genitals blown off, are you still male? You know?
Right. So it is like you would identify yourself as male regardless of if you had your dick and balls left or not. So I get that. So it's a psychological identity.
Right.
And so when you realize, I guess it's not you're not walking around as a teenager being like, I should have been born a girl, or were you?
Well, I mean, like, you know, I didn't hear the word transgender until I was probably like 19 or 20.
Right.
And, you know, it was like pre-internet days where it's not like I could go to the library and there was no books on it or anything like that. So like for a long time I thought I was schizophrenic. I thought like there was like twin souls inside me warring or something like that. I just didn't understand it. I didn't know what was wrong with me. You know, like I thought, okay, I guess I'm gay. You know, maybe I'm gay. I don't know. You know, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Yeah, you know, those weird, confusing thoughts.
Me and
all
Jim are
had them.
pretty fruity.
But
Sorry, Jim, to throw you in, but
oh,
it's true.
please throw myself in 1974. So, when you write songs, would that help you with your writing? Like all this
It did,
kind of
yeah.
crazy stuff you're thinking in your head makes
For
you
sure.
you have to get it out. So,
Yeah, and that's always what
did you
songwriting's
allude
been
to it
for
in
me.
your songwriting where nobody knew?
Yeah, I mean, at first it was like, you know, like alluding to it and like hiding things in metaphor. But then, like, you know, by like our fourth record, there was a lyric on our fourth record that was, if I could have chosen, I would have been born a woman. And I remember like singing it in the studio and being like, does anyone think that's weird, that lyric? And everyone was like, no, it's cool, go with it, you know? And just no one ever said anything. So it became like this like thing of, okay, like how much can I say? How far can I push it? Is anyone paying attention?
Was there a point where somebody said, wait a minute, you meant that for real? We thought that was just a lyric.
Well, afterwards, you know, like, sure.
Or when you come out where they're like, yeah, we were listening to your lyrics. We kind of fucking gathered.
I had like one or two friends afterwards who said like, oh yeah, I kind of gathered, but I was like, no, you fucking didn't.
I know,
right?
no, you didn't.
Do you think that because of the way it is these days that it's a little more acceptable that you have done this and committed to it? Or like, let's say you're the same age you are 20 years ago, would you have gone through what you're going through right now and become the woman that you are? I mean, because the times have changed and you're not going to be chastised as badly? 'Cause I feel like people are way more acceptable of transgender and people being gay or bi or whatever it is. 20 years ago, like I'm bi, I came out just recently. I don't think 20 years ago I think I would have kept it to myself.
Right.
Because I think I just would have been fired. I think I would have lost my job.
Right. Well, I mean, you know, I think for most trans people that it becomes like not an option to not come out.
So you knew you were going to.
Right. And for me, it was like, you know, consequences be damned. If this costs me like my whole entire fan base or whatever, you know, like it doesn't matter.
Do you think it's because of your age as well? Like, you think you got a little, like when you were younger, because you said you knew when you were little. Do you think the older you got, you knew that it was like, this is the healthiest thing for me to do?
Well, yes, but also like I think that I probably would have come out at a lot younger of an age if I wouldn't have done what I did with my life. As far as like when I was 20 years old, I started touring, playing like 200 plus shows a year for like 10 years, you know, signed to a major label. Like, so there was like all these things that distract me along the way.
Okay.
And like, you know, I came out at the end of a major label like contract and was just like, you know, just didn't know who I was anymore, you know, and it was like coming to the realization of like, okay, if this is the way I felt when I was 5, this is the way I felt when I was 10, 15, 20,
Right.
like I'm always going to feel this way, you know, like I need to accept this and move the fuck on, you know.
Did you ever like dress up when you were on the way? Because I read I think Caitlin said that like years ago, I think you would just like when he was still Bruce would dress up and go out. Did you ever dress up and like, oh fuck, I'm gonna get caught?
Yeah, I mean, like I lived in hotels. Like I lived in a hotel for like 2 years, and I mean, like there was great anonymity in that, you know. But I had like systems where I was like, okay, I got my hotel key card. If this like demagnetizes for some reason, what do I do? Okay, I'll hide a pair of spare clothes in my car outside so I could change, so I don't have to go to the front desk to get a new key, or like get a hotel room where I can crack a window to crawl back in through the window if I need, you know.
Isn't it kind of rock and roll to be in a dress as a like? I feel like if you're the singer of a band and I see you dressed as a woman, I'm just like, fuck yeah. I honestly wouldn't think, you know, he's trying to become transgender. I'd be like, he's just rocking out.
Right.
Right. But that's probably someone who's not transgender and who's just rocking out, you know, like as opposed to like, again, like having a book called Tranny where like I hated that about myself, you know, and I feared people knowing about that about me because I didn't accept it.
I can completely
you know?
relate. I feel like, you know, a transgender, but just admitting that I'm bi, I still find it. I'm okay with you guys because I've already done it. I did it on Sam's show. Like I admitted a lot of stuff on Sam's show, but I didn't. There's still certain people that
Well,
they're like,
interesting.
so you're bi, and I'm like, oh man,
You wouldn't
this
do
is
it-
the one room I don't want to talk about.
You
'cause I can
said
tell
you
people
would
don't
do it on
like
your show. Like you said, there was stuff that you would say on my show because it's in this room that you didn't want to do on your show for.
I just didn't want to announce it.
Yeah.
I was. You questioned me. If you didn't question me, I wasn't going to fucking talk about it.
Right.
You heard me on Pete Dominic, and he touched on it a little bit, so I was a little more open to it. But no one ever asked me, so I'm like, I don't want to be on like a loudspeaker and tell everybody. But if I get asked, I'm not going to lie. I want to be honest. And then honestly, since I told you on the show, obviously nobody caught it on YouTube, but I felt better that I got it out.
Yeah.
So from now on, I'm way more into talking about it because I don't want to hide.
Well, that's a big part of it too. Like, did you know? And you know, you put out the book and everything. Was there a part of you, even as you're transitioning, that's like, I've put so much time and effort and energy into the music and into this band. I don't want people to forget about the band and me become this thing that let's just talk about this person and the journey that they went through transitioning.
Well, no, because I mean, like the narrative of my band for years before that was always like, are you a sellout? Are you not a sellout for whatever record label I was on? It's never about the music, being in a band. You
Right.
go out and you do press and like the press is going to latch onto whatever story they want to latch onto. No one's like, what kind of guitars did you use on this record? Or like, you were stoked on a new amp you got or anything? Like, no one cares about that. No one cares about the songwriting craft or
Right.
something like that. So it's always something that doesn't matter. And when it comes down to it, like, you know, maybe it would have grabbed a couple of headlines coming out or something like that. But like, if the music isn't good or if your shows aren't good, no one's going to care. No one's going to come out and see you.
What was the first show you did after you came out?
Oh, it was
first time
so lame. It was so lame. We played with The Cult, and it was a show in San Diego at this like outside seated venue with like folding chairs. And there's all this like pressure. People are like, oh, it's your first show as a woman. It's like, no, fuck off. It's just a show. Like, we're just playing a show. We're opening for another band.
Didn't your voice sound different though?
No, it doesn't work like that. It works like that with testosterone, but no, it doesn't work like that with estrogen.
Okay, so
Oh.
sounds
Yeah,
like-
'cause I would have
didn't-
thought the same thing, to tell you the truth, that the hormones would
No.
bring you down.
So
a
you
couple
sing the
octaves
same
or
as
up.
you sang before.
Yeah.
And the fans have been really. It's really the fans have been really cool. Like certain performers, you might think, yeah, the fans, but when you think punk or hard, like, you think the fans would be harder for them to accept that. But
Sure. Well, I mean, like for the most part, I mean, it's like a line in the sand. Like, anyone's coming out to a show then is on the same page as you. But then also, like, there was a lot of fans we were losing because, like, they felt like they didn't feel safe at our shows anymore, especially as, like, we started touring with more mainstream acts, and, like, there was more of, like, a jock element at our shows where, like, people were like, I don't feel comfortable here. I feel like I'm going to get beat up for being a freak. And that's not what, like, punk rock is. It's supposed to be like a island of misfit toys at a show.
You said Springsteen gave you good advice too.
He did. He wrote me a letter, like, but that was like in 2007, 2008 or something.
Yeah, because I saw
like
the
that.
photo.
Yeah.
It was you before you transitioned with him and his son.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it about? It was something to do with the label?
It was just about, people calling you a sellout and not taking that, and just being true to what you do. And, like, as long as you get up there on stage and give it your all, after that, let the cards fall where they may, like, and it just, like, really, like, it was a real supporter. Really.
People think that if you do, if you do well, like when Metallica cut their hair all of a sudden, you guys are fucking sellouts. Like whenever a band does something a little bit different,
Succeeding.
Success or more people discover you, the fans automatically interpret that because the fans like to have this secret thing.
Right, it's ours.
Where it's ours, and when they're
Right.
protective of it, and then any change or any notoriety, they think it's a sellout.
Which I get. I mean, I grew up in punk rock too, but to me, like, selling out always meant giving up on your dreams and, like, okay, I'm not going to play music anymore. I'm going to go get some job I hate, some soul-sucking existence that isn't
Or change the
fulfilling.
band to fit a label's image or something like that.
I remember Jason Newsted, I saw a video of him in Metallica saying, yeah, we sell out every seat in the stadium.
I saw that too, yeah.
Thought that was pretty cool.
Was that the Bruce thing? I think I read that. Didn't that follow like that there was an anti against me rally or group or
Well,
something
I had
like
gotten
that?
like arrested the night before,
Right.
And like
Because you got in a
woke up
fight with
after-
a bunch of people, right?
Yeah, I kind of snapped and lost it for
What
a second.
happened?
I was in Tallahassee, Florida, and I was in a coffee shop and like went back to use the restroom, was coming back, and someone had taken like a picture out of the weekly magazine and like, whatever, wrote a bunch of shit on it. And I like tore it down, and some kid got up in my face. He's like, "Why'd you do that?" And like just got really rude with me, and then like turned around and walked away. And I like came after him. I'm like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I'm a human being. You don't know me. Why are you treating me like this?" And he was just like so smug, And he's like, "As far as I'm concerned, this conversation's over." And as far as I was concerned, it wasn't over. So I attacked him,
Yeah,
and
I'm
got
feeling.
arrested,
If someone's, as far as I'm concerned, this conversation's over. It must feel so good to hit a person after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I slammed his head into the table, jumped on him, but I didn't realize that there was an against me protest show happening there that night in the cafe. So it was like everyone
Jesus.
in
Wait, a
there.
protest show?
Yeah, a protest
What were
show.
they protesting?
They were protesting us playing.
Why?
Because we were sellouts.
What? Wait, they were old fans. Oh, they weren't
They
against
were
you.
old
offended.
fans,
Oh,
like
okay.
who were no
Oh, my.
longer fans. So like I didn't realize the second
this is
I walked
before
in there-
transitioning,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
this
was
has
like
nothing to do with it.
Wait, your
2007.
Yeah.
fan was trying to fight you
Yeah, well, ex-fan, I guess. Yeah,
because
yeah.
you were more successful than when he originally started liking it.
Yeah, and again, like we're playing for
Holy
maybe there was like
shit.
200 people at the show that night. It wasn't like huge or anything, and but I didn't realize like everyone in that room was like watching me the second I walked in. So like the second the fight started happening, like everyone jumped on me. So it was like 10 on 1.
They helped them. Like they were such shit fans. They helped the fan in that, and they didn't. They jumped on you.
Totally, and then they called the cops. Punks called the
Awful.
cops.
What awful.
Yeah. Because
Wow.
it's so crazy that they were. How did that feel? Like, does it? I mean, to know that there are old fans that are so passionate that they're protesting you.
Right. Well,
Like,
I
does
mean,
that mean that? Like, does it feel even more successful that people care that much, or does it
no,
just
it
feel
just
shitty?
exposed it to be bullshit. Like
Yeah.
all of it. Like all this, like, we're going to start a revolution, anarchy, and all this shit. I remember, like, we played this Polish American Hall on Long Island in like 2003, 2004. And it was like a 16-year-old fan set it up. It was $8 to get into the show. And people came, they slashed our tires. So, like, a couple shows later, we see the kid who slashed our tires, and there's like about to be a confrontation happening out in front of the show. And I look over and I see a punk pick up a brick. And I'm like, whoa, this kid is potentially going to bash my brains in because he doesn't like the record label we're on. And we're on Fat Records at this time. We're not on a major label. And he's going to kill me over over this, you know? And I was just like, fuck this, fuck punk rock, fuck you, you know?
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah, because people just are using that as an excuse to behave the way they want to behave. It's like, what kind of fan gets that mad if you change record label? It's insanity. It's about something else.
Totally.
Plus, it's like you must get up there like when you start getting new fans. Like, I want you guys to like me, but don't like me that much. Like, just enjoy the show. Because last time we had passionate fans, they threatened to kill us because we fucking changed record labels.
Totally. And I mean, to me, it was always just absurd. And it was, you know, like everyone's having this argument, like, are you punk? Are you not punk? And it's like, I don't care. Privately, I'm just like, I have gender dysphoria. I don't know how to deal with this. Your argument is stupid. I just do not care. This is the farthest thing from what I'm thinking about.
I'm trying to figure out if I'm schizophrenic or not. I don't care what you label my music genre
I see
as.
9 people in the mirror. I don't care who my agent is.
It's so much more terrifying to know that your fans would do that because of a label than to know that you're going to tell the world that you're transgender. I don't know. That would really slow me down. Somebody tried to kill me with a brick because I was on a shitty label. Now I'm going to tell everybody that I'm a woman. What kind of group is coming for me now? Like that? Did that cross your mind?
Totally. Yeah, totally.
Do you do drugs?
I do. Yeah.
So you're still running a little bit.
I mean, I've definitely calmed down. I smoke weed.
Just that's it?
Yeah. I mean, I'll have a drink every once in a while. I've been dry for the last 2 months. I had a celebratory drink last night. We did the Seth Meyers show or whatever. But
How was that?
What's that? The
How
Seth
was it?
Meyers show?
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. Really fun. Yeah.
Why'd you go dry for 2 months? Just because? Just as an
Well, I
exercise?
had a back injury. Like at the beginning of it, we just did this tour with Bad Religion. I had a back injury, so I was taking like some pills for my back, and I was like, okay, if I'm taking pills, I don't want to drink while doing pills. You know.
Probably one of the most interesting things that I thought about the book was just like you really go through how much you struggled with this for years and years and years. And at one point, you're talking about you started by praying and just trying to reach out to God and say like, okay, if God exists, He'll help me, and blah blah blah. And then when that wasn't helping, you turned to you tried Satanism.
I signed my soul to the devil.
I did that for skateboarding.
You did?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
I did that when I was 13. I thought it was cool.
Did you write out a literal contract?
Oh, it was so cool. Yeah, it's embarrassing. Like just suburban angst. I signed it in blood. Like
Did you really do that?
I
Yes,
did
I
it
did.
too. I signed it in blood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Fuck,
Yeah, I
everybody
thought
on
it
that
was
side of the
cool.
table has everything in common. I didn't sign my
Exactly.
name.
We all hate you.
Satan told me to keep that a secret.
God damn, you all signed your name in blood?
I didn't sign my name in blood. I just prayed to him every night to let me be a professional skateboarder.
Yeah, and guess what? He answered, didn't
Boom.
he?
Hail Satan.
Congratulations.
But I got kicked out of church. Like my church, I went to a church and like they started paying for me to see a psychiatrist, and then eventually like told me don't come to church anymore. And it was like, wow, God is telling me not to go to church. This is wild. You know?
Did you ever almost get caught growing up? Like you must have been doing something as a teenager or whatever. Where you came like this close to getting outed or exposed.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, there was one time like I'd skipped school and I was sitting on the back porch of my mom's house and I was smoking weed in a dress, and like the meter man came through the back fence and I was like, "Fuck!" and like, got up and went inside, you know. And then there was like another time where like. My favorite thing used to be like I'd skip school and like there was 2 hours of television where it was like back-to-back episodes of Wings and Quantum Leap and then MacGyver after that.
Shout out
and
to
I would
MacGyver.
just
Yeah,
like
dope.
I would make myself Clue and Creams and sit and drink Clue and Creams all day in a dress and just like watch TV.
Wings?
Yeah, it was
That's
great.
bizarre under any circumstances. Anybody putting on a dress and sipping beverages, watching Wings.
But I passed out one time and like right before my parents came home and like woke up seeing them pulling in the driveway. So there was like many close calls like that. You know?
And they would. Are they alive?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So they're cool with it, right?
I haven't talked to my father since I came out, and
Why?
I don't know, just it ended communication. Like I wrote him a letter coming out, you know, and tried my best to explain myself. I'm sure it wasn't that eloquent, and I just got like a cryptic one-word response.
What did it say?
Not one word, but it said, "For now the door is open, but we'll see." And
Man.
it was just like, what does that mean? Fuck
Wait,
you.
for now the door is open. Was there other stuff that he was saying that because of, like, or was it just because of this?
I mean, like, my parents divorced when I was like 12 years old or something like that. So ever since then, it was always kind of a strained relationship. You know, my dad was Army, grew up in a military family, and it was what it was. But my mother's been really supportive. And
So your dad is like, oh, that's my son, and this is what's. It's a lot of. I've heard a lot of people say that the dads have a hard time with this sometimes.
yeah, I mean,
That's not cool.
I
That's the most
No.
important one. Mums are going to understand. But your dad when he understands it, then you feel like the world has accepted you. Because that one for me would be, come on, man, like. You think I'm doing this for attention? Like,
Right.
you got to understand and he's not. He didn't give you the. I mean, like Sam and Jim said, you weren't that close with him in the beginning, but was he mean to you? Were you still friends before this?
Yeah, I mean,
So he has switched off to you.
yeah, and I mean, like, I have a 7-year-old daughter, and it's like, he has no contact with my daughter either. It's just like
Just since
completely-
that's it.
That's it. That was
Wow,
it.
so you have a 7-year-old daughter and you've become a mummy, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, she still calls me dad, but she says she and her. She just like
Just
it's not an
accepts it.
issue to her.
Didn't
yeah.
she ask you to? She wanted you to still be a boy.
That was like right after I came out. Yeah, uh-huh.
Was that hard?
It was like
Must have been really-
heartbreaking. Yeah, I mean, it like totally destroyed me for sure.
But now it's okay?
Yeah, I mean, like kids just want to know you
I know,
love
right?
them and they aren't going away.
I know.
You know?
Do you I noticed you got pretty big hands. Do you like tie it up and put it back? Is that new or like when you first started doing that? Do you tuck it? What?
No, I mean, I don't give a shit. Like
just there?
for me. Like if it's hard for someone to understand that, like sometimes girls have a penis and sometimes boys have a vagina, then that's their issue. That's not my issue.
You don't go there?
I don't have a problem with myself anymore. Like coming out was totally liberating and like completely like fixed all the issues in my head in that way where it's just like I am the way I am, and especially having a suicidal nervous breakdown. Then after that it was like, you know what, like there's an out. I can always just go and slit my wrists after this, like. But since I'm not gonna, then fuck anyone who has a problem with me, and like fuck you if you don't get it. And
I want to
it's
hug you,
just
but it's like
we
I'll
can
do it
hug
later.
after.
Yeah.
See, I'm not-
It's gonna be fucking intense. I'll tell you that.
It's gonna be a tight one.
Yeah.
I'm not trans, but sometimes I tuck anyway just to show myself who's boss.
Laura, do you feel like Jim's relating to you on that,
I'm more confused than I've ever been in my entire life. What the fuck does that mean?
No, I never understood tucking. It just seems like remarkably uncomfortable.
Look,
To sit on a
But I
plane
think
like
these
that.
are like these are
to sit on a
misconceptions.
plane?
These are like
Yeah.
stereotypes. These are like like this is like a cisgendered person's like understanding of what it means to be trans.
No,
you know?
trans people have told me that. Like one girl I know, she just went through SRS, and she said that for her the worst part, besides like feeling like the dick didn't necessarily belong
what's
there.
SRS?
Sexual reassignment surgery was going on a plane or going to the beach. And I've texted her since, like, hey, how are you since the surgery? She goes, great, I can go swimming on the beach now. And I'm like, I get that, but that also seems like it's more about other people's perception than, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I get flagged every time I go through airport security,
Sure.
like the Provision body scanner machines, where they're always like, you have an anomaly in your crotch.
that's what they say
area."
to me. I always brag about it because I'm like, fuck yeah, dude.
I've actually said that to people about myself. You want to check out my anomaly? It's not that unusual.
I
It
tried
doesn't
those-
work properly.
I tried those pants on. A friend of mine left those, the underwear and the tie thing in my bathroom once, and
Oh, like there's an actual like tie device
Yeah.
specifically
It's called
made
a
for that?
gaff.
it's what?
A gaff.
It is? Well, I wasn't sure, but I hooked that bad boy up on me and put it all in there. And I was like, man, I'm not like sitting down or anything. Like, I don't understand how you pull it off.
Yeah.
But I guess you get used to it. Some girls are bigger than others, so I think maybe that might help. But
Is that a Morrissey quote?
it is. It is.
No, Judy Blume.
I can't believe I actually know that, man. That's my only song that I know from him. What is that?
So, like,
close.
when you're talking about people's perceptions and stuff, how ready were you to go from somebody who's literally, I mean, struggled with this all their life, as much as anybody's ever struggled with anything, suicidally struggled with this for decades, to then become this representative of the community? Because,
I wasn't ready for it at all. That's why I had a nervous breakdown.
Right.
It was like a year later. It was
That's a
just like,
public
this
figure.
is too much pressure. I'm, losing it.
Yeah, because you do now have to represent, like, trans in the public eye for cisgender people to understand.
Sure, but
like,
I always try to be really upfront with people and be like, I am not a perfect person. I do not have all the answers. I can only speak for myself and for my experiences. That's it.
And why did you turn down $500,000? I read that and I was wondering, is it anything to do with the fact that, well, this was a major label and I've gotten so much shit for being on other labels?
you mean for music?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was punk guilt for sure. But then they came back and like offered us more money the
Oh,
next
so
time around.
you did take it that time, right?
That next time around, we took it. Yeah.
Well
Yeah.
played.
Yeah, taking the money is always okay.
Yeah.
I don't know
yeah.
why punks think that they have to be broke, or fans of punks think they have to be
Well, there's
broke.
something about the struggle that's, like, I think an attractive thing like that. Like, we're going to fight against the system, and once you get paid, Like, what are you fighting against? You
Yeah,
get paid.
every single person that hates you for taking that deal would take that deal. Because I've been broke and I've had money, and
Which
I
is
know which
better?
one's better.
Yeah, sure. You enjoyed the money part a little better.
It's fucking really sweet.
It is, right?
I've had a divorce, so one time I was broke and I was rich, then I was broke again. So every time I come back up, I'm like, note to self: sell out.
But since you make the money, is it harder to write the same stuff? Like sometimes it's hard. Like when you're struggling against something and you feel shitty, creativity works a little bit better because it's just a reaction to feeling shitty.
Yeah.
Sure.
But if you feel good, it's like it's kind of hard to find something to push against.
Do you think she has struggles still?
Yeah, sure. Like
Well,
there's-
no, but there was a disconnect, like originally being a band that, we were an anarcho-punk band, so singing about anarchism, and that's why you get called a sellout, because like being anti-capitalist and then making money off of your music conflict, those two things, and singing about like dumpster diving and stuff like that, and then you're like, well, I no longer dumpster dive, so what am I going to write about now? That's identity, and that had a lot to do with dysphoria too, of feeling like, okay, you latched onto these identities. That it was like, I can't express myself as I feel, so I'll be punk and I'll charge out my hair and I'll wear a big spiky leather jacket and ripped up jeans, whatever. And then like you lose that identity, and then dysphoria comes out more strongly,
So this is like the last 3 years. Would you say it's the first time in your life that you felt normal?
Yeah, like that I can be myself, especially like on stage, like I'm not up there being like, who am I?
What is
Who
that-
are you people?
What is it like to like not have that? You know what I mean? Because even it's an unpleasant thing to grow up struggling and struggling and struggling, and when you finally fix it, are you prepared to not have that struggle? You know what I mean? Because that becomes an identifying thing. Like that's just who I am. I struggle.
yeah, without that
Right.
pit in the stomach feeling.
But also, I mean, it's that's wrong, actually. Like I still don't have it all figured out, and my concept and understanding of gender is still continually evolving. And it's
Yeah.
not like it's like to say like, oh, you transitioned is false. It's like you're in transition, you're transitioning, but then really that's life, like you're constantly evolving and like learning and becoming who you are, and I don't have it all figured out. I have an idea of who I'd like to be in 10 years, but I don't really know who I'm going to be in 10 years, but like when it comes down to it, like I still suffer from depression, and depression is a mental illness, and it's not necessarily tied to the dysphoria, so I still struggle, and I still my life that I have on tour with my band is one thing when I'm surrounded by everybody, but other than that, like I go back to Chicago and it's like, boom, you're alone, and I don't know.
Do you
life.
so do you feel like you want to go through surgeries, or you don't know yet, or do you see yourself down the road as being like having breasts and a vagina, or do you not even think about that, or you just don't know?
Oh, I have tits.
I was going to
Oh,
say,
you
you
do?
didn't catch that?
Yeah.
No,
I
she's
did.
wearing
No,
a big
you weren't.
jacket. I didn't
You notice
look.
that, Jason?
Fuck yeah, dude.
But
I
no,
didn't know.
honestly, like tattoos have been a good learning lesson with that. Where like you go in for a tattoo and you have this idea of like, oh, the tattoo will look like that, and this is what I want done. And sometimes you come out and you're like, oh, it's a little fucked up, and it doesn't quite look how I thought it would look, or I don't quite like it, So like knowing that with surgeries and stuff like that,
How'd
that
those titties come out? You happy?
Are you, Jason?
I don't know. I want to see. I
There's a
don't
very
know.
big, you can't tell she's wearing a very big jacket and a big shirt.
what's the Australian phrase? Tits out for the boys.
Is that what they say?
Yeah. Which I love. I want to write a song called "Tits Out for the Boys."
I'm sure it'll be a good one. I'd love to hear it.
So see here,
I'd love to help you write it, actually.
but you're happy with that part of it.
I've accepted myself. I am.
Yeah.
Plastic surgery doesn't fix a broken soul. You
Right.
know?
But they look good, though. More to the point. Hey, I seriously think it's like your demographic, because it's not all transgender people don't. The people that you're talking to or your fan base, they don't know about it. Like they live in another world where they listen to your kind of music, and that's not around them a lot. So I feel like what you're doing, I know you're doing what you've got to do because you are who you are. But you realize it's a very important thing. Like you're talking to people.
Yeah.
Because to me, I have a radio show where I talk to a lot of Neanderthals. And if I'm by, they're like, wait, you're supposed to smash it and like titties. I'm like, I do. But I also don't mind like transgender girls. And every now and then, if a guy wants to blow me, I might be into that.
Right.
It doesn't ruin me. And they're like, well, if it doesn't ruin you, maybe it's okay. Maybe I'll be more acceptable to people like that around the world. So I feel like what you're doing, I mean, it's helping you, but you do know, like, all the fans, the music, the people that are into your music, They don't know this.
Sure.
And you're introducing them to it. You're like, I don't want to do it, but like Caitlyn Jenner, you're like Caitlyn Jenner to real people, not a bunch of fucking shitty housewives. No disrespect to them, but you're usually stupid. You're talking to the kids, you know what I mean, that I feel like are more important than people that watch the Kardashians on TV.
Sure, but that's why it's important to be visible and to represent who you are. You know.
Yeah, I respect that.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, and it is I mean, as far as punk rock messages go, to be true to yourself to that level is about as punk rock as you could be, right?
I hope so.
That's what one would think. One would think. Well, listen, we do. We have to let you go. We have to let you go do your show.
Oh, hey, fuck.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah. It's
Stupid
flown by. But it's been great talking to you. Everybody, pick up the book.
And you're touring. Who are you touring with now? With Green Day?
In March, we're going out with Green Day.
Okay,
yeah.
great. And the book is just called Tranny, Laura Jane Grace. And
Confessions of Punk Rock's Most Infamous Anarchist Sellout.
my eyes are going badly. I really am. We do reads for Audible. I'm like, I really have to do that because my fucking eyes suck.
Jim is transitioning into a very old man.
Yes, I am.
Doing a great job.
She's got a bunch of signings, though. If you want to meet Laura, you can tomorrow go to Politics and Prose in Washington, D.C. Saturday, Miami Book Fair. Sunday, Books A Million in Tallahassee, Florida. November 21st in Ann Arbor, November 29th in San Francisco, then Los Angeles, then Santa Monica, then on December 2nd, back to Chicago. So keep an eye out for all those signings. And if she's not coming to your town, buy the book. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Really interesting.
Yeah, it was
Right on.
fun.
Thank you.